Hi there, everybody. Renegade Historian here with a nice single malt Irish whiskey to talk about history being made. Last week, we saw it happen before our very eyes. We saw a politically unifying popular revolt that resurrected a movement that's been dead for a decade when a bunch of internet day traders decided they liked a stock. Early in 2021, a Redditor who frequented our Wall Street bets, called Deep Fucking Value, or DFV for short, discovered something interesting. He found that a number of Wall Street hedge funds, namely Melvin Capital, had shorted GameStop by 140%. That means they had shorted more shares than were available by almost half. Wall Street was confident that the retailer would go under, because they needed it to. If GameStop went bankrupt, they wouldn't need to cough up the shares. They could just pocket the money from selling. See, when someone shorts a stock, they borrow shares and sell them at market value in anticipation of the share price going down. They then buy the cheaper shares back, return them to the person they borrowed them from, and pocket the difference. If the share price goes up, though, the short sellers' losses are theoretically infinite. They have to buy the shares back to close the trade. Limited upside and infinite risk sounds like a really stupid investment. Because it is. But it works when you can lean on friends in the media and Capitol Hill to go on TV and cause panic selling to drive the price down artificially. Enter DFV, who began spreading the word. He made Redditors realize that if they bought the shares and held them, they could theoretically sell them back to the hedge fund at any price they wanted. Hell, their own buying would drive the share price up to begin with. The same exact thing happened with Volkswagen in 2008, and its shares nearly hit $1,000 apiece. Hedge funds also lost $30 billion for their antics in the Volkswagen short squeeze, but clearly they didn't learn anything. GameStop was cheap in early January, and as such it was volatile. Large amounts of volume can cause the share price of cheap stocks to spike or dip dramatically. Then, when the hedge funds tried to buy GameStop back, it would drive the price even higher. To the fucking moon, even. As Redditors bought in, anticipating a horde of tendies on the other end of this trade once they took their gains, the share price ticked up steadily, but quickly, from about $20 per share on January 11th to $76 a share on January 25th. The Redditors took on a host of new recruits who didn't even know what a stonk was as the story spread. They were joined by shitposting veterans from all corners of the internet and enthusiastic volunteers from around the world. Other stocks like AMC and Nokia were also subjected to Wall Street's squirrely bullshit, and these intrepid wolves of Wall Street bought those too. And the next day, it started. January 26th saw GameStop open at $88.56. And over the day, it shot up as the stock became more and more desirable. It closed at an astounding $147.98. Someone who was in it for the money would have sold right there. $20 to $150 is a 650% gain. That's nuts for a stock, and it's really big even for an options play. But this was about more than money. The same people shorting GameStop now were the same people who caused the subprime mortgage crisis that tanked the economy in 2008 and 2009. Some of them, like Ben Bernanke, had a prime role in it. This was personal. The Great Recession had destroyed families, livelihoods, and retirements across America and across the world. It greatly affected a generation of young people. Young Americans who'd watched their parents suffer, struggle to put food on the table, or keep a roof over their heads. They watched their grandparents have to work into their 70s, their retirements wiped out overnight. They were ready for revenge. These young investors took the invisible hand of the free market and shoved it right up Wall Street's ass. They weren't done yet. Wall Street needed to suffer. Over the next couple of days, the stock's price grew and grew as the internet collectively squeezed the hedge fund's balls with their diamond hands. GameStop hit $483 at its peak. Any other investor would have immediately cashed out and taken their tendies home. For those who bought in at $20, that represented a 2,315% gain. DFV had become an overnight millionaire. Last I saw, his GameStop fortune topped $16 million when the share price peaked. Melvin Capital had to liquidate its entire Alibaba position to cover its losses. Wall Street had lost $70 billion collectively by that point. But the Redditors were determined to hold. And they did hold. When Wall Street demanded their stonks back, Reddit replied with the immortal words of Leonidas at Thermopylae, "Molon leve, come and take them." It was all going perfectly. Too perfectly. Despite their diamond hands and brass balls, the Redditors were betrayed, just as their victory seemed secure. First it was Robinhood, the broker that claimed to fight for the common man. It halted all buying of GameStop and AMC. The Reddit army could only watch in horror as the share price fell back down to $193.60 when the market closed. Robinhood's masters at Citadel had clamped down on the supposedly working-class brokerage. But it didn't stop there. Soon, nearly every major brokerage halted buying of GameStop, AMC, and others. The outcry was immediate and resulted in fake mea culpas on TV and gradual reversals of the policy, but the damage had been done. But the Reddit army didn't lose their resolve. With diamond hands they hung on, holding the stock despite the forced sells and the stop losses. It wasn't over yet. Diamonds are unbreakable. The next day, the share price shot right back up to $415, and $322 at the next day's open, but each time it closed lower and lower. Some Redditors are still holding, some have sold. The story is ongoing, but the gallant Reddit army looks to be losing. Even so, they may have already won. A moral victory, if not a fiscal one. Life savings and stimmy checks were wiped out. Many will have to go tendyless, but the hedge funds were hurt worse. Melvin Capital lost 53% of its value. Collectively, Wall Street's losses topped $90 billion the last I saw. You see, when a hedge fund shorts a stock, it puts tens of billions on the line. But when a bunch of little guys force a short squeeze, their individual risk is in the hundreds or thousands per person. Collectively, they take on way less risk and can fight this battle for far longer than the hedge funds. As I said, the fight is still ongoing. And for a moment, it healed a divided nation. Left and right joined together in a glorious moment of schadenfreude to laugh at Wall Street losing to a subreddit of all things. The media shills, the politician assholes, they worked fast and started to sow the seeds of division once again. But thanks to a bunch of bored guys on the internet, we were reminded of what a bunch of little people can do when we get together. Lawsuits are pending. Redditors, as I said, are still holding. Congressional trials are coming. DFV has been invited to them, and I hope to God I get to hear a senator refer to him as Mr. Fucking Value or Mr. Value. Who knows? Maybe these shit posters will one day decide the fate of the nation. That's all for me. This is Renegade Historian signing off. Cheers, everybody. Have a wonderful day.